just print it without just print the way I want it. That's what I want to do.
See, times like this are when having contacts in are so much better because I can't keep my glasses in with these headphones. They push down on them too much. But I've been wearing contacts a lot lately. But right now I can't see really at all. I mean, I can see the computer, but I can't see when you...
Oh, right. So if I'm giving you double fingers, you can't see it?
No, not really at all.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, there you go. Fuck you.
Fuck. Why did just...
Hi, fans.
Oh, Christ. Here's DJ.
Yeah, I'm gonna do another one of these with you guys.
Oh, really? Shit. Okay.
Just fucking print it. Anyway.
What's that say? Oh, Michael DiGiovanni joined. Okay.
That's me.
That's me. And his face.
And my face.
Welcome your face. We are live, just so you know.
Okay.
Anybody we know watching? We have any idea?
I assume it's probably Evan.
Yeah, but I think we
give us a
assumed that
shout out,
before too,
Evan.
and it wasn't it?
And it wasn't? Yeah, no, that's true. So if you're watching, give us a shout out. If you have any questions, you can interact with us live.
Tweet the Atomic Geeks or tweet your mother or something.
Yeah, tweet Atomic Geeks is probably the best way. Although I do have my phone right here. It's difficult for me, if anyone tweets to me, to...
well, then definitely don't tweet to you.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound easy.
Don't do the hard thing.
So CT hit me up, and he said, we're coming to that time again about...
Summer crossover.
It's episode 500 again?
Yes, he wants to do another clip show.
Which just the clips from that show till now, though, so it's going to be...
we're pretty much...
Long clips?
Just going to be editing pretty much those 4 shows together. But he goes, what's up with the summer crossover? And I was like, oh, yeah. Downs might be moving in July. I got a baby coming. He's like, are we going to do it again? He had a suggestion because he said instead of interrupting everybody's shows, why don't we do a giant... This is what his thought is. You do a giant Google Hangout where we invite me, like all 3 of us, all of the Nerd Lunch guys, AJ, Maggot, Chris, whatever, all at once, and cool. Bloom... And because he said he did one of these, and he said it's a bit chaotic, but it's fun. And he goes, but you should do it like a trivia challenge, like you have Bloom host an I Never or something like that. And he goes, that's the show. Like he goes, he says you do it, you can promote it to people that come
especially
watch
because we have people watching. So I mean, this is something it would make. The watching experience a little bit even almost more than the listening to the podcast, and that would be breaking that barrier. You know what I mean?
So he says, he goes, we all promote the Hangout, like you try to get people to watch it, and then you know what? We edit it. Someone can rip it and try to edit it into some semblance of something, and it just goes up as a supplemental, like a special. Like it doesn't interrupt the flow of everyone's weekly episode.
Well, and for us, because I mean, if we take time off, it goes up in place of an episode potentially or whatever.
Sure,
so.
But he said, so I've asked Bloom about it because Andrew's already said, he goes, I'd like to come back and host a game. I'm like, well, this might be your chance.
Well, sure. Pick a good game for Christ's sakes. Anyway.
And I said, because it'll have to be throw to people because it will be chaos if we have like 9 people on it, right?
Yeah.
But it could be a fun experiment, and it doesn't have to be Nerd Lunch episode 152. Like it's just this special thing. Like CT said, everyone could edit it and choose to put it up in their feed. They don't have to.
Yeah.
We don't have to. It doesn't even have to be. It could just be a Google Hangout that we promote and see if people want to come and watch us do it live. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let's move forward with that.
Do you think, Christian, you like that?
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm all for it.
So the next thing is an email will go out, and we have to just try to figure out when we do it.
Yeah.
That's the toughest part.
Yeah. We may have to choose a primary and secondary date. You know what I mean? That like a fallback date, even. Do you know what I mean?
Because if we try to accommodate, we've got Downs, we've got Chris Lockhart, and you've got AJ, which are all on. That's 3 completely.
Well, I mean, but see, AJ works in the Eastern time zone, so that's not so bad. I'm only an hour off of that. Really, it's
Chris.
Do you get anybody from the West Coast or Mountain? I think Jeej or someone or Evan or someone. I think those guys are close to getting on the West Coast side of things. But I mean, like we should do it more like a party and do it later at night anyways, you know what I mean? Like probably more 9, 10-ish my time, or I guess that's pretty much what it is now.
Well, so and we can discuss this on a
anyways.
in the email, but I don't know if we have to do it on a Saturday. I don't know if we have to do it on a
potentially.
Yeah,
easier.
For my personal schedule, obviously Saturday would be during the day, and then I have to work something out as well for babysitting and stuff. So anyway.
Okay, well, anyways, we'll figure it out. I mean, it may be a Monday night. Like we have no idea.
That would be the best night ever for me.
But that was the thing, because CT said, you try to get Cult Film Club and blah and all these guys, and he says, interrupting their week-to-week whatever they're doing, he goes, let's not do that. Let's just do this one thing. Whoever chooses to participate does it, and there you go. And it doesn't become, it's not one of our episodes. It's just this special thing. So there you go. All right.
Special thing that we all can learn to love.
Learn to and love.
Let's go do this.
Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so DJ, you want to do the geek news?
Are we going to do Ant-Man, I guess, or?
Yeah, I might as well do that. More and more, I think I'm going back on that train of not doing geek news. But as long as we give a perspective about what our thoughts on it and stuff like that, I guess it's still kind of interesting anyway.
It's just we're doing stuff again because we feel like we have to when it's...
I know.
I guess you know what? I hate to say it. You could do a joke where we could have this very conversation on the show and choose not to do it.
Yeah, but I've already printed like 2 pages of freaking information on there. This would be a waste. Yeah, I have 2 pages of written notes on this friggin' story.
Legal drugs. Here they are.
I mean, the Ant-Man we could talk about, but it's not something that's so demanding that...
No, it's not.
It feels like we're doing it because we've been...
Yeah, I hear you. No, I know exactly what you're thinking, Mr. Downs.
So that's your call, Christian. It's like if you throw it to me, I'll do it. But if you want to make a joke and say we're going to try not to do geek news anymore, then do it.
Let's just see how I feel when we get to that point.
See how the opening goes.
Okay. So, no pressure on the opening, I guess.
So, well, fuck. We can just do it off the fucking top of your head if we think about it for crazy.
I know. I'm just kidding.
So as far as the topic, the way I think we're going to do it, I think we're going to do. What do I think we're going to do? We're going to do restricted to general movies first, and then end the rest of the show with going from general movies to restricted. Okay. I think those have the potential for more humor, from what I think in my own pretty little head.
Yeah, I think of my 2. That's probably the better. I think that order is probably maybe.
Yeah, because I know.
You never know though. So.
Yeah, well, exactly. You never fucking know. You know what I mean? But I mean, I just think as far as the show goes, I had an easier time with the G and the R than I did with the R to the G.
And I thought we would talk about that because
So that's not really.
No, that's the whole point. Yeah, I'm trying to be as generic, as ambivalent as possible, so we can have conversations with the whole thing. Because I got stuff to say and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
What did you say? Ambivalent. Sorry, I thought you said I was.
Did I say ambivalent or whatever? I mean, I always love it when I listen to the podcast and I try to use big words. I don't know how the fuck I'm doing. Anyway, what episode is this?
Look, I've got 2 Sand Troopers. Those are 6-inch Star Wars Black Series.
The Thundercats stuff.
Ultra, and these are my new Thundercats guys. And Chitara's on her way. The big.
But that's the new Thundercat show, isn't it?
Well, these ones are here. Yeah, I just got them as part of a trade, but yeah. But Mumra.
What the fuck, Mumra? Yeah, Mumra, the ever-living. Hold on, I'm just gonna adjust my face here because.
Fucking, Evan had Did you see that comment on my Instagram where he was like, "Mumra the Ever-Living is a great name for a beer." Or not Mumra the Ever, Ancient Spirits of Evil. Because I posted that picture with the menu, right? And I was like,
that's an awesome name for a beer.
This is what's on tap tonight at Boxwood Brewing. At least that's the way in my head. And Evan's like, that's a great name for a beer.
Yeah, that actually it is.
Yeah. Steal that.
I like that guy. He's all right, that jerk.
He's all right, that guy, man.
He's all right. I've been listening to freaking call.
I don't know. We haven't been tweeted by who's watching, so it might be someone who doesn't have the technology. You never know.
I'll tell you, that Evan guy, if we ever get ourselves into any trouble, he'll be able to...
He's our criminal lawyer.
He's our criminal lawyer now, the Tag
What?
Networks.
You guys got a problem with some trademarks? Because that's my deal.
Try to call Saul. He's like Saul lawyer, though, right?
No, he's like, yeah, exactly. Or he's like some kind of freaking like farming lawyer or something like that, you know.
Did you see
Handles, like, cattle debates and shit like that.
Did you? They announced that Better Call Saul debuts in November, eh?
Oh, did they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they saw. I just saw that before we logged on.
All right, we'll add that to the geek news. Then.
So we'll do 6 things of geek news then, I guess. Before
You know, in fact, let's just change this whole fucking episode to geek news. All right, we'll just make it up as we go along.
Let's call the show Geek Fallout. Maybe you want to
I
do
was
that?
going to say, then they won't have anything to talk about.
You know, that has a pretty good ring to it for crying out loud. Put that on the network, see what sticks to the wall with that friggin' plate of spaghetti. What episode is this, jerks?
257.
257. Okay, let's start with Mike Downs, and then do Dejo, and then stuff. Why do I forget? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now. This should be an interesting show.
Yes.
Should took an allergy pill. This is first. You're doing this first. Fuckhead. Okay. Ready to go?
Yes.
How many viewers do we have?
1.
All right.
I'm dedicating this episode to you, Blue Eyes. And I hope you have blue eyes. Okay. Oh, wait, my microphone's not exactly very stable here. Oh, gotta go to the bathroom. No, I'm kidding. Ready?
Yep.
Oh, hello, Internet. It's your pal, Christian, from the town of Oakville, in my basement, seated, planted, my butt's in the hosting chair tonight, ready to do another episode of the Atomic Geeks podcast. And before we do this thing, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, so I'm going to start this part again.
Okay.
Thank you for responding. And before we get to this ratings fabulous episode, I wonder if there's some other jerks. I didn't even tell me. What the fuck? Did I tell you? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I even say what kind of fucking beer I'm drinking. I'm fucking just losing it already. Anyway. But before we get to this podcasting excitement, let me tell you, I'm drinking a bottle of Moosehead Lager. Moosehead Lager. I have 5 left, and they're all going down tonight. I think the sale is over. And so is my heart. Who else is podcasting with me?
Hello, all you cocksucking motherfucking assholes. It's Mike Downs here. I'm a rated R podcasting star. I had to think that up on the fly. It's Mike Downs. I'm at Boxwood Brewing, and I'm drinking a pint of Vanilla Blonde, my latest batch of Vanilla Blonde.
And hey, it's Michael DiGiovanni. I'm a really good guy who's about to become very, very bad. I'm in Toronto, and once again, I'm podcasting under the influence because I am drinking me a Session Raspberry Lemon Saison.
Raspberry Saison.
Raspberry lemon saison. There was a whole lot of gay in that sentence. Is all I gotta say. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that beer sounds kind of gay.
Wrong with that, but still, yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. It sounds kind of feminine.
This is a beer that was actually made specifically for the upcoming Session Beer Fest that we always go to, or the Atomic Geeks have some history with. So a saison is like a seasonal beer that's only made during a specific season when you can have like a fruit that's in a particular season. So generally, it's an ale with a little bit of raspberries and lemons in it.
So if I remember my high school French correctly, saison is season en français.
That is correct, sir. We're learning something tonight.
Au secours. That's all I thought of when you said that. Do you remember what that was?
No.
In the French books that you had as a kid, the cover, it was a guy saying au secours, and that was help. And that's the only thing I remember really from French.
I just remember, like, my French teacher, they used to put on a cassette tape that we'd have to, like, repeat what they would say, and the guy would always be like, Numero un, bibliothèque. I don't know why I said that in sort of an Italian accent.
I know. I was like, that guy sounds like he's Spanish for some reason.
The only thing I
failed French, I should mention.
The only thing I remember from French in the Canadian high school, and this is probably scintillating friggin' information for all of our friggin' otherworldly listeners for crying out loud, is that in my textbook they had these two characters that were repeatedly used in little dialogues and stuff, and there was Brigitte Labaume and Jacques Leroc.
Yeah, I remember those. But you know what? It's funny, as much as we joke, any of our American listeners would probably have the exact same experience with Spanish, right? Like, they had to take Spanish up until grade 9, which is what we had to do with French, basically, I think.
But isn't that kind of a new thing? I mean, like, if our listeners are like 30, 40 years old, they weren't probably taking Spanish at that point.
I think they were. I don't you, like, Mallory in fucking Family Ties had to take Spanish, didn't they? That seems like something.
They have a choice to took. I mean, I took Spanish in high school too, just for the hell of it, for crying out loud. And they always in the language classes they serve food, right? So I was like, I'll take that class and German as well.
They didn't do that many fucking language classes I grew up in school I went to.
No, see, we didn't have that option. I couldn't take Spanish and eat goddamn paella at fucking high school.
Fucking tacos. I would have fucking signed the hell up for that shit.
But French was a requirement. Like, you had to take it for at least 1 or 2 years. Like,
Yeah,
that was
I think Spanish was like that in the States. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe it's like if you're in Texas where you're like close to, or it's like a big population. I seem to remember whiz kids and stuff were Spanish. They always had to take Spanish and
but they were the whiz kids that ancient 100-year-old esoteric television show about those kids that knew a whole bunch about the computers, for crying out loud. That took place in California. And let's face facts. I mean, California's history is steeped in the Spanish milieu.
That's what I'm saying is this, because we're, as much as Americans are idiots to the provincial system, I couldn't tell you, but maybe that's a state thing, and because we see television that's produced in Hollywood, we assume it's everywhere.
Yeah. I'm thinking Montana, when those little kids are coming to school wearing their cowboy hats and their lassos on their belt, for crying out loud, that they have to learn Spanish, what I mean?
Or people in Delaware. I don't think they're like Spanish is part of the curriculum.
Yeah, they don't when they go to school wearing their T-shirts with pictures of bridges on them. That's is that what kids in Delaware wear?
I'm in Delaware. What the fuck do I need to learn Spanish for?
But I think most people
have a Taco Bell, for crying out loud.
I know exactly. They haven't even gotten tacos yet in Delaware.
No, that's a whole different language. That's made up Spanish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think most Americans assume that Canadians, we just all speak French, or it was like a required thing. So we don't, is this long-winded point. And we take it, we're required to take it for at least a year or two, and we all fail it miserably.
Yeah, most of us. And we just basically ignore the fact that there's these French words on all of our friggin' highway signs and stuff like that, for crying out loud.
Well, the only reason that practically in our adult life why we need to use French is to pronounce beer names and to talk to strippers. I mean, that's pretty much it.
To talk to strippers. Because in case you don't know, if you're from the States, they all come from Quebec and Canada anyway, so that's for sure.
That's right. For Quebec, the provincial capital of international stripper excellence, for crying out loud.
Well,
their biggest export is strippers.
Good grief.
Hate to say we may not want to check the Quebec iTunes store for any new reviews.
Really? Do they have their own iTunes store for Quebec?
Don't you remember they separated as from Apple?
That's right, they do now, actually. Yeah, they're their own country in Apple's eyes.
Really? Maybe that should be part of the geek news, for crying out loud. I mean, speaking of, I want to say who's got some, but then I'm thinking to myself, do I really care? Because, I mean, the only bit of geek news I think that's worth doing is Ant-Man with friggin', what's his name? Friggin' Britishy McBritish, for crying out loud.
Edgar Wright?
Edgar Wright, that's close enough. Yeah. He decided to quit the job, and everyone's saying, oh, boo-hoo, but, I mean, Ant-Man is still being made. So, I don't think anybody's really worried. I just think they don't want to hurt their geek sensibilities because some nice little friggin' fish and chips got friggin' turfed out of the clubhouse he tried to build, for crying out loud.
So are we doing the geek news or not?
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. Are we supposed to comment here? I don't know what the next step is.
I don't know. I mean, let's try commenting and see what happens, and maybe I'll change the intro to geek comments instead of geek news.
Wait, oh my God, a whole new bumper.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed by the news. I mean, Edgar Wright has been, using air quotes, working on this, or this has been in development for a long goddamn time. I mean, it's been years that he's been attached to working on Ant-Man. The rumor is he walked off because there was pushback on the script. They hired some new people to dust off the script. He didn't like it. He walked. Yeah, I don't like the sound of that, but this feels like one of those stories. I mean, without us knowing who the new director is or anything, it feels like something like it's going to be an example of, damn, it would have been cool if Guillermo del Toro directed The Hobbits. I'd love to have seen that version. Well, I mean, I'm sure it would be great that we're all going to wish one day we could have seen an Edgar Wright Ant-Man, but I still have faith that Marvel's track record is they kind of know what they're doing, and Ant-Man's still going to be good.
Yeah, and I think I said last week, and I took a bit of shit for it, but I don't think this is news. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. I'm tired of this stuff. Like, I think there's so many movies going on, and you know what? Just make the movie and give me a trailer. I don't care about movies anymore until the trailer comes out. I don't care.
You know what? I can't argue with that. That's a pretty fair point. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, like Edgar Wright's never going to work again. Well, fuck off. He told he's going to work again, for crying out loud. I mean, that guy's still friggin' hot bag of potatoes as far as filmmaking goes, for crying out loud. But I mean, I think Marvel has probably got their friggin' movie situation well in fucking hand, as we all know by now. Blah blah blah. So the answer to the question: are we still doing geek news? Guess we kind of are. So
that was sort of. So what was that? That was a very unenthusiastic geek news.
It's like, okay, now stay tuned next week for another bit of geek news that's also a week old. You know what I mean? It's just, I like talking about it, but I mean, it's not news. It's more like I said, geek commentary, for crying out loud.
Well, I can, on the next Classic Film Jerks, I can ask Andrew if he's got some time to make us a new bumper for geek comments.
Geek comments.
Last week's geek news with now our comments.
That's right. We're talking about something
that's not really new or relevant, but we just want to talk about it anyway.
Every other news source has already beat it to death.
That's right. Geek Newswire, we ain't, motherfucker. Anyway.
We're just workshopping the show here, folks.
Yeah. It's only been 5 years. Give us some time. We'll get it together, for crying out loud.
We'll figure it out.
We'll try to figure out the proper format to this show eventually.
That's right. But at this point now, I think that we should have like a musical interlude to frickin' every single episode. You know what I mean? Like, obviously we're not getting fucking sponsors, but maybe like in the middle of the show we could stop and sing a song or something like that. I think that's
you know what we need? We need some bumpers for our franchise topics, like Gunpoint reviews and like redos, like just DJ going, it's a redo. Someone needs to remix that and make that a fucking hit song.
Someone contact Danger Mouse and see if he'd like to remix some of our stuff.
If you'd like to work with us.
Yeah, see, put that out there on the internet.
Danger Mouse, is that friggin' cartoon character with the eye patch? That mouse?
That's exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's Mighty Mouse's arch nemesis.
That's right. I know who the fuck Danger Mouse is.
Was Danger Mouse in the Mighty Mouse cartoon? No.
No, I mean, Danger Mouse is the name of that freaking electronic freaking DJ with the face or something like that, isn't it?
But wasn't there a Danger Mouse cartoon character that he ripped?
Probably. That's probably who that motherfucker named himself after.
I think I may be right then, right? There's a mouse with an eye. I think there was a mouse with an eye patch, and I said to myself, that's pretty badass for a mouse to have an eye patch.
No, I clearly remember that. I clearly remember there being a mouse with an eye patch. But my question was he in the Mighty Mouse cartoon, or was Danger Mouse in his own thing?
No, I don't think there's a Danger Mouse in the Mighty Mouse cartoon.
If only there was a way to look this up and to get an answer.
Well, maybe one day somebody will put together a collection of electronic images and text that we can all fucking search for information that we're looking for. One day.
Or next week on Geek News, a topic that really no one cares, but who was Danger Mouse and how the fuck did he get his name?
What do we call this segment of the show? That's what I want to know. What is
nonsense rambling?
This is the intermittent rambling.
Yeah, this is called bullshit tangent. And let me tell you, it hasn't fucking finished yet.
Bullshit tangent.
Bullshit tangent, but it hasn't finished yet because I still got more to say for Connors. I always find it a bit disconcerting when a freaking cartoon animal has an eye patch. You know what I mean? It's like, first of all, how did that freaking animal lose that eye to begin with? I mean, they're not going to show that on TV. It's kind of like that freaking show, The Octonauts. I don't know if any of your young children have watched it. And then these people, these animals that are under the sea looking for other sea animals. My son loves the show, but again, there's that one fucking cat that's got an eye patch. It's like, what the fuck happened to that poor cat?
Now those are the tales we're just never gonna know about those cartoons. You know what I mean?
Well, to me, that reminds me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I'm like, this is stuff that happens behind the scenes in the lives of the cartoons that we don't know about. You know what I mean? And like, it totally makes me think of that kind of world.
But I want to know about it now that you're saying this. Like, there's this dark underbelly to these characters. You're right. Like, how did that friggin' Octonaut character lose that eye? Was it a birth defect?
I'll tell you how he lost that eye. He basically sailed into a sketchy seaport and got into a bad dealings with a prostitute and friggin' got his eye gouged out with a friggin' heel of a friggin' shoe.
That's on Octonauts After Dark, right?
Or I say he was trained. He was trained by Paimei.
Yes. And got his eye pulled out in the training, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ, boy! Yeah, I guess that's if you know you've done a shitty job in Paimei's class of martial arts for crying out loud. If you're walking out with your hand over your one eye for crying out loud, you know what I mean?
This is like a cartoon character's hidden backstories. This is almost a topic in of itself.
You failed. Ah! Get your eye patch at the door. You know.
And now you must work under the sea.
Well, yeah, it's like, you know, that is a topic idea. It's like all these characters, you know, in cartoons, they had a crazy story before they got to the cartoon. What's that story?
Yes, here's another one. Why does every male duck have a fucking speech impediment? Why does everybody have that? Like,
he's got a lisp or he stutters.
Like, yeah, like what is up? Like, Daffy Duck's spitting in your face the whole time. Donald Duck is
barely intelligible.
I know, they've all got but then you hear Daisy Duck talk and it's like perfect coherent English. Like,
you know why? It's because they're walking around with no fucking nothing covering their junk. They're like, you know, all I'm wearing is a jacket. I'm kind of fucking nervous, you know what I mean? Because there's junks out there and
I don't know. I like to think that the city that all these ducks come from, like maybe it's called Ducktopolis or something like that for crying out loud. I like to think it's a pretty fucking crazy town because there's freewheeling fucking go with no pants. I figure it's like freaking Ducktopia.
Like Iceland, you mean?
Well, it's like hard.
I just said that. But...
It's hard living. Well, we lost our Iceland reviews there as well. But yeah, it's like hard living being a duck, perhaps. I mean, and. You know, who knows? I mean, maybe their parents raised them it was very hard disciplining. Maybe they were forced to gargle.
A lot of personal insecurities that develop these speech impediments and stuff like that.
Or you know, home violence. I mean, ducks are pretty violent creatures, right? They're probably beating their kids.
Well, they do have tempers that need
their kids.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it. Look at Daffy Duck. The guy he loses his shit all the time.
There's some anger issues there for sure.
Guy needs some counseling for sure.
Never liked that Daisy Duck for crying out loud. I always thought just think she's so big for crying out loud. But anyway, what are you
showing her ass all over there?
It's the best tangent ever. I don't even
shaking that tail feather, freaking stuck up duck.
She is always shaking her ass. Like that's her thing, right? Like she's got it out there, just totally.
Let's just put it out there. That she's a duck slut. This one, right? Like.
Everywhere was a duck slut. Daisy Duck.
That is one slutty ass duck.
I don't know if she's much of a slut as she's a tease. You know
tease,
what I mean?
Yes, you're right. She's a tease.
Because she pretty much was stuck with Donald, but they just never lived together. You know what I mean? She always kept her place. He had his place. You know, maybe it was because he had those nephews all the time that she'd want to move in and make a commitment. Who knows?
What, three little fucking snapper heads running around that aren't your kids? I wouldn't do that either.
She kept her distance, so I guess there's a reason, but she could be a tease too. I don't know.
Where is Donald's delinquent fucking brother that had these kids that's always pawning his fucking kids off to Donald, man?
You assume
brother or his sister? Was it his sister, or we don't know?
No, I think the story is, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, internet can prove me wrong. that the story is it was Donald Duck's sister's kids, and that way back when the story was first introduced, the mother was killed by a wildebeest, and I'm not joking about that.
So wait, so talk about hidden stories that we'd like to actually see. Where there's another one. You got to be making that up.
I'm not making that up. I honestly am not
Killed by
making
a
that up.
wildebeest?
Something like that. But and again, Mike Downs or Mike DiGiovanni, write that fucking idea down before you forget it, for crying out. Because if you don't, I will, and that'll be my next week. That'll be my topic for the next time.
Hidden backstories. Okay, I'm writing that down.
We've done it though. We've been doing it.
That's a nice topic.
We're an hour in. Like
we could do it more though, fleshed out with like freaking bumpers and geek news, for Christ's sakes.
And with planning.
So I guess we should do a topic, huh? I mean, Lord knows I've been promoting on the goddamn Instagrams and Twitters all day, for crying out loud, hoping that some poor soul may come across and watch this piece of shit. And here we are, so I might as well talk business, for crying out loud. And this is the topic tonight. Originally, I was going to call this a title that Downs would probably appreciate. Was going to be called the GNR, for crying out loud.
I wondered that when you tweeted. It looked like I was like, that looks like GNR.
That's right. I should have put G at the end and the apostrophe in the R, because then the Downs could make some kind of bullshit. And that Tommy Lee, he had drum set went upside down. But anyway,
that's a completely wrong band, by the way.
Motley Crue, anyways,
wasn't Tommy Lee from Motley Crue?
But we're talking about Guns N' Roses, dude.
Oh yeah, you're totally right. Okay. That guy's wearing a top hat. Woo, where are his eyes? He has no eyes.
Nice recovery.
Yeah. You know you rock.
We're never going to get to this fucking topic. So it's called GNR, and basically the G and the R stands for the movie ratings that we're all so familiar with. And it was my thought that we would use the Atomic Geeks freaking magical movie transforming powers that we've exhibited on many other topics. And tonight, we would take some G-rated movies and do our best to turn them into R-rated movies while keeping the storyline as intact as we possibly can, and take some R-rated movies, that was hard to come out, and turn them into G-rated movies, a movie that for the whole fun and the family can see, and see what happens, for crying out loud. So I did a bit of research, because I mean, you're your host, you got to do a bit of research and show you got some fucking shit going on, for crying out loud. And first of all, I wanted to make sure that in the United States and Canada that we were kind of on the same page as far as the R's and the G's. And thankfully, we do have R-rated movies and G-rated movies, although sometimes the things in between are just a little bit different. Like, what is it, USA, they have NC-17, and we have, like, PG-13 or something like that, for crying out loud.
But I thought NC-17 was more than rated R.
No, that's right, exactly. In the States, NC-17 is like super rated R. That's like no fucking kids under 17 are coming in, whether they have a parent or a robot or whatever.
Because in the States, rated R, if you choose to take your 13-year-old kid into a rated R movie, you can do that, right? And here in Canada, you can't do that. Rated R is a kid can't come in at under the age of 18.
You're right. Again, in the Canadian R-rated, it says admittance restricted to persons 18 years of age and over, not suitable for minors. And
I feel like, how hard are they enforcing that though now? Like this is.
I don't. When I was a kid, I've seen people not allowed into movies because they weren't 18.
But I feel like that was an 80s thing. Like, I mean, I feel like now it's like. Aren't 15-year-olds going to see The Hangover? Like, you know what I mean? Like, aren't they doing that?
Is that rated R, the Hangover movies? They're R-rated?
Rated R. Like,
I don't know. I mean, my acquaintances with the 15-year-old boys is not as prevalent as it was.
Well, I was talking more like 15-year-old girls, but.
I know lots of those.
Regardless, my association with 15-year-old boys is about 30 years time missing there, for crying out loud. But
I guess the conversation of this, what brings up, I think, is that the the problems with the rating system, right? Like in Canada, if something like The Hangover is rated R, there's nothing worse than R. Well, except for like porn, right? So like,
Yeah, which is like A or adult or
X
whatever.
or whatever the
you know what I mean? Like,
X.
so like, yeah, X. So it's like there has to be the whole NC-17 thing is, I think, a kind of a good idea that there's like, no, R is rated like, you know what? If you have a 13-year-old and he watches American Pie at home and you take him to Hangover, that's fine. But something like those Saw movies or something like ultra violent, some of those things, I think they are something else.
But
Don't
the
you?
whole
And I think that NC-17. A lot of that stuff I think gets applied for ultra violent movies, not just tits. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. Because I guess some people, I guess in the States, think that the kids younger than 15 every now and then got to see a little friggin' boob, for crying out loud. I'm assuming, so that's okay. But what am I trying to say here, though? I had a thought in
I
my
don't think
head.
there's anything wrong with boob. There's a famous quote someone said. I saw a comedian say it too, and is I'd rather let my kid watch a movie with two people having sex than two people killing each other. You know what I mean? No, I'm not talking about graphic pornography. You know what I mean?
No.
You know what I mean? Like a flash of a boob is a lot less damaging than fucking the violent shit that, you know what I mean, that's on some of these movies, the torture and stuff like that. Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But it's just funny though, because without getting too much into it, because I don't want to make the episode about this, for Christ's sake, because I want to make some jokes. Is that in the States, the fucking ratings are determined not even by the friggin' government, right? They're determined by like this friggin' committees of like normal ass people who, based on their friggin' like sensitivities, decide that movie's an R, that movie's this, that movie's that. And there's a documentary on it. I've caught a bit of it as well. Really kind of a bad way of judging movies, and sometimes movies can suffer because of that.
Yeah, it is a strange, weird committee that is doing that. I would recommend checking out the documentary that's based off that. The name escapes me what it's called. I'll have to search for that. But you're right. It's like that's why in a certain way people include really extreme stuff because they hope that they want an R rating, so they'll shoot a lot of extreme stuff, and then they'll say to the director, you got to cut out that, and that, and the director always assumed that was never going to stay in it. He just does it because he wants to keep the other stuff protected, so he can keep his R rating, right? Like
if you do a movie and it's like, well, there's only one really kind of shocking scene. It's not even that shocking. They might push you over the edge. It's like that was one simple thing, right? Like, but it's like in context of everything else, it seemed really shocking.
Yeah. I actually, in my research for looking at ratings.
Oh, Christian, that documentary is called "This Film Is Not Yet Rated." By the way, that's the documentary. It's really good.
Yeah, I think I've seen a part of it. They were following some person around, and how did you choose this, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, I'm not making sense, whatever. But I did in my search just to find out. I was curious about where else in the rest of the world how their rating systems works and stuff like that, and pretty much across the board, countries and their rating systems are pretty much the same as we are here in North America. Although I found one country in particular during my research to be quite a bit more, I don't know how to call it, friggin' segmented, and that is the country of Turkey. And let me just give you a quick idea of what I've found here. In Turkey, they have a logo system and an age system. So bear with me as I rifle through this. A family logo with 3 persons from younger to older is suitable for all ages. I don't know what that means, but anyway, there's 7A. If you're under 7, you can watch this movie. 7 plus, over 7 can watch this movie. 7 plus to 13. 7 to 12-year-olds can watch this. 13 plus, 13 to 15, 15 plus, 18 plus, and then there's other logos. There's the explosion logo, which looks like a strange star with 7 corners, which means this movie contains elements of violence and horror. And then there's an interlocked male and female logo, which means this movie contains elements of sexuality. And then there's the minus logo, which means this movie contains behaviors that may create a negative example.
Oh my God, how specific is it? Like, how in the world do you differentiate a movie that's only 13 to 15? That's a really weird fucking rating system.
I know. Needless to say, all these kids in fucking Turkey must be a real pain in the ass to sneak in the fucking theater because all the fucking ushers got guns, I guess. I mean,
Well, I mean, how difficult is that job? You got to have a chart of which movie you're at and who you let in, right?
that's right. They got a chart, and then you got to stand against the wall, and they have to measure your height. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you got to pee into a cup, and then you got to find out whether or not you can go in and see the fucking babe in the
Take that
pig.
shit seriously in Turkey, man. They don't get no kids seeing no fucking violence.
That's right. So good work there, turkeys, for fucking keeping your kids on the even keel, for crying out loud. But anyway, again, fuck, let's do a fucking topic, for crying out loud. So we're gonna make some G movies R. We're gonna make some R movies G. I am the host. I have decided that we are going to start with doing some R-rated movies and make them G-rated. And you know what? I'm gonna start the topic off with one of my ideas, for crying out loud. I think it's kind of horrible, but I'm sure the guys will come in with questions and ask me things like that. And the first movie I decided to do, actually, technically, it's two movies, and I decided to do the movie, R-rated movie, Kill Bill, Volume 1 and 2, and transform it into a G-rated movie.
Wow.
I
figured
don't know
if
why
everybody
you
was
would do that, but okay.
But this is, again, it's just for fun. And again, you want young children to get the feel for this movie, you know what I mean, just to give an idea for the future, so that when they see the real thing.
I'm very curious to see how you pulled this off.
So obviously, the original Kill Bill is like someone has been slighted and she seeks revenge, and a lot of people die, for crying out loud. In this case, instead of killing, I've decided, spoiler alert on a character name that was revealed in these movies, Beatrix Kiddo is going to seek revenge by pranking her way to Bill in revenge for the horrible prank played on her at her wedding.
Okay.
So
it's still adults and everything, but it's just like there was a joke played on her at her wedding, and now
a really bad joke. Yeah, a really bad joke that put her in the hospital.
That put her in the hospital. That just went wrong in a comic sense, like
Yes.
a comical, wacky sense, sort of thing.
Oh, so is this supposed to be a comedy? Is that why it's G-rated? I'm struggling with what makes it G-rated aside from it being pranks. It's adults. Like, who's gonna watch this movie? That's all.
Well, the fact it's G-rated now because a lot of the actual murder and blood that is in the original movie is now gone, right? So now.
No, but I'm thinking it's not PG-13. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? 'Cause you're not making jokes about the wedding, about the stag night or something. You know what I mean? Is the question I have. Or
No, because it's good, harmless, clean fun. You know, these pranks. You know, people do funny jokes and pranks to each other all the time, and that's instead of bloody murder and revenge, it's fun-loving pranks and stuff like that.
So then, what happens to the other characters like Daryl Hannah and all of them? They're just pulling pranks then on Beatrix Kiddo? Is that what they're doing?
Yes, they're trying to get her as she's trying to get them. You know, I think I see a lot of seltzer bottles and basically, flowers that squirt water in this thing.
Okay, so this is, wait a sec, is this like Three Stooges, Kill Bill?
Could be. That actually might make a lot more sense.
Well,
you know what I mean?
this reminds me of this is like Dunstan checks in Kill Bill sort of thing. You know what I mean? Something like that, like the Princess Diaries, that sort of tone of it's very slapsticky, simple,
Right.
safe humor.
But the only way to, the movie studio has dictated that the only way we can transform this into a G-rated movie is going this way, right? So that only makes sense.
Well,
hold on. Let me make that point again. That sounded really stupid. So. But if the only way that I can't think of any other way that we could possibly turn this R-rated movie into a G movie.
Well, no, this is a challenge like that one. I mean, the film is called Kill Bill. It's.
And you know what? We'll still keep it that same title, I think, because the title's not going to give us a higher than G rating. I like to think, for crying out loud.
But you know what? You know how you make it safer is you call it Kill Bill and you put like a question mark at the end of it or something.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or, I mean, it's like you're killing him with laughter. I mean, I think again, I had trouble wrapping my head around the idea, and so the Three Stooges to me, or like
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin, like it's based humor that there's nothing offensive in this film at all, so that's why it's cheesy.
Yeah, like Bill needs to be played by like Tim Conway or somebody. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be really Disneyfied, jokey. Like I see it like a 1970s fucking Don Knotts, Tim Conway joint.
But
like
I want to keep all of the interactions of the original movies intact in this thing. For example, I still think there should be a fight with the Crazy 88s, but of course, in my version, I've got 3 different options. I've got pie fight, pillow fight, or tickle fight.
pie fight. That's that many people involved. That requires like the 88.
Or a food fight.
It's a food fight of some sort in that one. It has to be.
I think a pie fight would be good. A friggin' almost somewhat ninja pie fight would be pretty good. And then there's a whole training sequence between Pai Mei and friggin' Beatrix.
Pai
Torres.
Mei, he teaches her how to throw a pie. This guy.
Throw a pie, use a
Right.
seltzer bottle, things like that.
He's like a clown.
I mean, shit, this shit writes itself. Come on.
He's like a clown. Like that's
Great.
what he.
Oh, I
Creative
don't know.
use of
I
a
don't know
joy
if you still
buzzer,
call him a
in
clown.
ways that she's never understood before. That's
And this is starting to really come together now.
It really is.
doesn't it always seem to come together on this show to a certain degree?
Somehow.
Somehow, some way. As long as we all agree it's come together, then we're happier, for crying out loud. Mike Downs, you got an R-rated movie that you said to yourself, man, I can transform that into a G-rated movie. Here's how I'm going to do it.
I do, but I realized as you were opening the show, I must have probably glossed over some of the details of your email. So,
What? There's not many details in the movie.
I know. I'm like, holy shit, how did I fuck that up?
I know. I actually wrote an example how to turn Terminator 2 into a G-rated movie.
No,
blah,
I know.
blah.
But so what I did was I took a film, but I made it kind of more like a TV show than a film. But I basically I took a film and I G-ified it, but I didn't. It was not still a film, so I don't know how specific that is to the rule.
But how did let's hear. I don't understand how that works.
Okay,
Did
so
you put commercials in your movie for crying out loud or something?
no, I didn't get that specific. But so I again, I thought of in both of my examples, I was like, how do I go to the ends of the spectrum for examples? So I was talking to my beautiful and talented wife, and suddenly it came to me, and I thought, boy, Clockwork Orange. There's a movie you don't want any kids to see.
That's pretty R. Yeah.
But I thought, okay, hold on a second. There's the milk bar.
I was going to say, yeah, it has a positive message as far as calcium requirements.
Calcium intake. So I was like, what if we had the Clockwork Orange babies? Out of the Muppet Babies. But so it's like, the 3 guys are at the milk bar. You know what I mean? They're drinking their milk. Their idea of ultra-violence, quote ultra-violence, is when they're throwing their toys around in their play group, and so it's like in their little play area, and so the TV show, if you will, is about a bunch of bad.
But that
kids,
could still work as a movie, though. That doesn't have to be a TV.
No, I guess no. I assumed that example of the, you know what I mean, but the point being is that these are the kind of the guys that you don't want to be, right? Like they're kind of these jerky kids, jackass kids. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, they're like the Bad News Bears-esque sort of. Your idea could still work as a movie. It doesn't have to be. They can.
I guess, yeah. I'd say I wasn't thinking of it that way, but totally, it doesn't have to be a TV show. Nothing I said.
You really like transforming things into babies, though, don't you, for crying out loud? Because I still remember the episode. What was that? The freaking making the cartoons. You turned Reservoir Dogs into babies, for crying out loud. Don't get me wrong. That's a freaking brilliant idea. But here we got the Clockwork Orange babies, I guess is what it is.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange babies. I just thought of milk, and I'm like, oh my god, the milk bar, like it totally works. You know what I mean,
it kind of only works because who doesn't think a baby looks cute in a bowler hat? And it looks like they're all wearing
with that makeup around their eyes.
Yeah,
that could
and
be
they all
funny.
look like they're wearing like freaking onesies anyway in the movie, except
Totally,
they got
yeah,
those boots on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they could be walking around with wiffle bats and then.
But I mean, all it's just like they're like that movie is, you know what I mean? And then, but he gets he gets caught and he gets in trouble and he gets punished at the end of the day. So the big story is he gets put in timeout. You know what I mean? Like. you know, for
And what a timeout
that's the
that
climax
is.
of the movie.
Right.
Yeah. I don't
That's
know.
that's a timeout and a half.
And the timeout is actually the clockwork. Well, he's got to wait for that to his time elapse, sort of thing. It's an orange clock or something. Yeah, like there you go.
That's right.
I just thought I was like that's how you make something so offensive, so watered down.
Not so offensive. Like example for the whole home invasion scene, you know, they could essentially be like toilet papering the house or something like that and getting revenged on their nanny by, I don't know, dropping big friggin' turds on their front door or something like that. Oh, that might not make it G-rated though, would it?
Well, no, I know, but I was thinking like what's it like those penguins? You know the Madagascar penguins? You guys know that cartoon?
Yeah.
Right, so like those guys are always like pulling jobs and stuff, right? Like, and I was like, that's kind of what these guys are kind of doing, but they're, you know what I mean, like.
Oh, I thought you were gonna switch gears and say, you know what? Instead of making them babies, we should make them friggin' Clockwork Orange penguins, for crying out loud.
No, they always got something on the go, like kind of Pinky and Brain. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of these three little babies who are kind of.
Is it an animated movie though? No.
I think so. I think it's an animated movie.
Or
it's like the Cats
CGI.
and Dogs movies. Yeah, like where they make. Yeah, maybe it's more like that. I don't know. I only had a loose concept, so.
Oh, that's right. Just count on fucking Dijo and Christian to fill that shit in.
Exactly.
Those guys never shut up, for crying out. They're always fucking talking and dragging out everything out of a fucking topic, for crying out.
Hey, I did all the talking last week, so I figured you guys could do something this week.
Well, there's not going to be any argument from me here, for crying out loud. Dijo, do you have an R-rated movie that you're going to take to the F to the G?
Yes, I am, and mine. I found this exercise harder. Obviously, the R to the G versus the G to the R. But as I was going through my list of going, okay, give me a list of R-rated movies. I can't even remember.
There's a lot of them, right?
There's a lot of them, but you kind of off the top of your head, because there's this gray area where you go, was that adult accompaniment? Was that PG-13 or whatever? I don't even know if there's an adult accompaniment anymore. I think that's PG-13. But is that PG-13? Is that PG? You can't really remember anymore. But so I had to see a list in front of me, and then when I saw this list, I was like, wow, okay, wait, there's one right there that is so obvious and so easy the way to G-ify this fucking thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Christian. Oh, what's Christian? Oh, sorry about that. I thought you were.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to grab a beer from my goddamn.
No, okay, sorry. And I was like, when I looked at this thing, I'm like, this is too easy. I got to do this one, and that is the R-rated comedy classic, Animal House.
Whoa.
So how do you make this a G goddamn movie? You make all of them animals, and it's a goddamn CGI cartoon, like one of those DreamWorks Pixar fucking things, and it's now Fazoo College. It's like Dean, Vernon, Wormy, every one of them. Their fraternity is Animal House. Like you think,
the animals were pulling the pranks and stuff and trying to get away with shit.
John Belushi's character is like he's a bulldog, and then there's like Kevin Bacon is Chip Diller is like a chipmunk, and then there's one of the characters.
There's got to be a raccoon. There's got to be a raccoon somewhere.
One of the characters' name is Stork. Like that. This writes itself. He is a stork. That fucking guy. Like so. I saw this. I'm like, that's too. That writes itself, man. Like you just start going through the list of the cast. You monsters. University, this thing like that's
or like Dr. Doolittle. You know what I mean? Like it's like that. We're all. Is it like live action? Aren't you thinking?
No. I'm saying like you do this. Animal House turns into like a Pixar or a like a full animated movie in the sense like how Monsters, the sequel to Monsters Inc., Monsters University was them at college. Like that. It's that story, but this is about it's Animal House. It's the delinquent frat. Versus, and then the dean has to get the really buttoned together animals. That could be like the giraffes and the llamas.
Pixar should buy the rights to Animal House right now and make this into a movie. Like you know what I mean? Like that. That's how good of an idea it is. It totally could be done.
So I guess the ending I would see, basically they get expelled for whatever reason, and then they seek the revenge at the parade in town, but the dean thinks that their efforts are so creative and thoughtful that they automatically get graduated from whatever animal university.
Fat? No, it's fat because I can't remember the name of the college. I actually looked it up, but it's like
Faber College?
Faber College, but you call it like Fazoo College or something
okay.
like that, you know. So they're yeah, like the story works as long as you play it as animals and you kind of you diminish the fucking drinking and all that stuff. You just do it like they're the rowdy, silly fraternity.
The soundtrack would work still exactly as is for the movie, for crying out loud.
Yes.
Totally, and yeah, you could have all these animated guys. That totally makes sense. Yep.
So you'd still have the freaking the band who does that song. Freaking what the heck is that freaking band's name? I used to know it. The fake movie band that originally. Anyway, shout, everybody shout! Stick your hands up, shout! Anyway,
wasn't that Otis Redding? No.
No, it was definitely not Otis Redding. It wasn't Otis Redding, and it wasn't Morris Day, because that's totally the wrong time altogether. Jungle Love. I got another R to the G movie that I want to throw out there for you guys to ask me about and criticize or whatever the hell you want to do. And again, I went out there. I said, I'm fucking going for it, for crying out loud. I'm making an R-rated movie, G, and that movie is Boogie Nights.
Jesus.
Oh, God.
Okay.
How do you make this movie G-rated?
And of course, again, there are key elements and focuses things in the story that have to be changed to a certain degree, and a certain degree of imagination has to come into play. And basically, my very long-running sentence to describe this movie for conversation is this: a young man uses his especially large magic wand to bring pleasure to women on film for an old wizard during the late 70s to early 80s in Southern California.
So then how does the name work? Boogie Nights. It's like, is his name is like Knights? Is it Knights?
Well, it could be. I mean, I'm still thinking it's all takes place in friggin' California. It's all the same. It's just everyone's a bit more happy, but it's a bit more of a fantastical kind of universe, for crying out loud. And I don't know why this old wizard wants to film him using his wand on various ladies to help them feel better, for crying out loud. But I mean, he's doing it.
But I don't know. That sounds still very sexual to me. And I can't help but think is how someone tweeted that you're actually wrong, and it was Otis Day who sang that song in Animal House. Sorry.
No, you said Otis Redding, dickhead, for crying out loud.
Well, you said it wasn't fucking Otis anybody. Then fucking Day.
I said it was definitely not Otis Redding.
Well, I don't know, because Bizarro Jimmy Olsen just tweeted back and said it was Otis Day, and so I don't know.
That is not Otis Redding, though.
Well, but who said something? Because they said, yes, it was what someone said. So it must have been something. We'll have to go back and listen to the recording.
Well, rewind their fucking YouTubes, for crying out loud, because Otis Redding is a very famous friggin' music artist, for crying out loud. It's not Otis Day. That's not... Anyway, I believe you... I'm going to edit this part out, but anyway. It's not Otis. It is Otis Day, but it's not Otis Redding. Listen to it. You said Otis Redding, and I disagreed.
Yes.
So what were we saying?
We were talking
about your stupid idea about animating some guy with a huge cock to make pleasure women. Who's gonna let their kids watch this cartoon that has a guy pleasuring women?
Is it a cartoon? No, it's not.
No, I didn't say it was cartoon. I think we still keep it live action, for crying out loud.
I'm still not gonna let my kids watch some movie with a guy pleasuring women with a wand.
What, you don't know how he's pleasuring him, for crying out loud. He could be like dancing around doing this friggin' magical words that makes frickin' very entertaining, for crying out loud.
I don't know. It sounds
he's making sad people happy, for crying out loud, with his magical wand. I think there's a very genuinely loving theme to that, don't you think?
I think the loss is here is that I think you can still make that story work without saying he's pleasuring women. I think he's just he's a very popular movie star because wizarding is a very popular thing that's on in movies, and he just has this very bizarre new type of wand, and as a result of it, he's a bit of people really want to watch him do it or something like.
Listen, I understand. Maybe the word pleasure wasn't the appropriate
Pleasuring,
word for
yes,
him.
is not the right
There
word.
could be better words for crying out loud. I mean, just I picked
this
the movie and I decided to go for it. I mean, there's a whole. There's
You
a
said
whole.
pleasuring. You didn't say entertaining people. That's a very specific turn of phrase.
That's
so.
what I'm saying. I'm admitting my misjudgment on
Challenges,
using the word
yes.
plugement. So yes, entertaining, bringing entertainment to women. That sounds better. And then there's a whole subplot where he's trying to overcome his love of powdered donuts, which would hopefully be even taken in a more lighthearted. Well,
that you got me on. This one I'm struggling a little bit with. I don't know
whether it's good or not, for crying out loud. As long as it's a fucking G rating, for the
found a way is what the most important thing is.
That's the challenge, for Christ's sakes. Any of you guys got any more ones you want to do? You want to go to freaking straight into R?
I have one.
Okay. D'Jo, do you have any G's or R's to the G's, for crying out loud?
Yep, I will preface again. I will commend Christian on going for it, because you picked movies that were very R and very challenging to turn into G's. I found movies that were R-rated that I was like, wait a minute, that was R-rated? How can I make that G and make this work? So I don't know if people realize this, but the movie Jerry Maguire is rated R. I don't remember that. I mean, why is that rated R?
Why is that rated R?
Because that little kid with the glasses was fucking cursing up a storm in that fucking movie.
But like, did they swear a lot? I mean,
Is there sex or something?
I don't remember, but Jerry Maguire was rated R. So for some reason I was like, that seems fucking weird to me, but I'm going to make this movie guaranteed now. There's no chance, even though that there's no way this movie cannot be G-rated after I'm done with it, because now Jerry Maguire is going to be about a sports agent who finds Jesus and is fired for expressing his beliefs. He decides to put his faith to the test as an independent agent, and only one athlete decides to stay with him. You fire Tom Cruise, you hire Kirk Cameron, bam, this thing is a G fucking movie.
Wow.
Wow, that's pretty good.
With the 700 Club, for crying out loud, production of friggin' Jerry Maguire for the whole family.
There you go.
This movie probably exists actually. With we just don't know about it, with Kirk Cameron in it. We just never didn't get any actual notice.
That's what I'm saying. There's a message now that the athlete that sticks with him will be converted to Christianity. I mean, they'll air this on the CTS network for years to come.
That's right, 24 hours a day. But Kirk Cameron, as long as it was Kirk Cameron project, that means possibly that his wife Chelsea Noble will be in this friggin' thing too, for crying out loud. And let me tell you, that is an attractive piece of
Christian ass.
Thank you for saying the words that I did not have to say. For crying out loud.
Good pull. How did you know? So quick recall of Kirk Cameron's wife?
Let me tell you, I remember because she made an appearance on Growing Pains way back when, and I said to myself, this girl is super attractive, and I must remember this name. And, of course, I remembered it, and it's never left the recesses of my brain, for crying out loud.
I must remember this in case I'm ever on some sort of internet-based radio show in 20, 25 years from now.
Listen, like I figure one day I'm going to be invited to the 700 Club's annual Christian Television Trivia Challenge, for crying out loud, and that will be like my final answer. That'll be like the final friggin' final God Jeopardy or whatever, for crying out loud, for that episode where it's like, and name the wife of famed television Christian television star Kirk Cameron's wife, and I'll be like, fuck, I know that shit. I got my light pen ready to write that shit down, for crying out loud. And
yes,
there you go.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Let's freaking switch gears immediately to I think would probably be the even more interesting aspect of this show, and that is taking G movies and making them R, for crying out loud. And hopefully, in this case, we're not going to be taking a whole bunch of G-rated movies and turning them into pornos, for crying out loud. It made me think we maybe go think some different directions than that. But I guess Mike Downs is smiling. I guess we'll just have to see what happens. And so, you know,
but that's the obvious one, right? I was like, how do you just take something and make it a porn or make it like?
And I think we've done that. We've already done that as a topic for crying out loud.
That would have been. I think that would have been turning them X-rated. This is. That's too easy of an answer. I think that I hope everyone was a little bit more creative than that.
I was. I like to think I was. But anyway, let's Mike Downs. Let's hear a film that you chose to take the G to the R, for crying out loud.
Okay, again, here's where I misconstrued the rules about film versus television. I'm just saying it's not a film per se, a G-rated film. It's a television series that I wanted to adapt into a film. So I'm just prefacing so I don't get shit on when it's not the specifics. So what I thought was, I love our idea of the Quentin Tarantino, Max and Ruby, and I was like, how do I do something like that, really, is what I wanted to do. And so I thought, we need to hire Yui Bowl to bring Dora the Explorer to the big screen.
Okay, Yui Bowl.
Yui Bowl is he's German director. I think he's German. He's directed things like Blood Rain, all kinds of crazy.
The Postal
violence.
movie I've never seen.
Yeah, there's actually some half-decent. When you look through his filmography, there's some things that are actually somewhat recognizable that aren't just.
Yeah, don't say they're
violent.
half-decent, but they're recognizable titles that were other things and now that are movies that he's directed. But you don't know if they're good or not.
No, but it's not all just half-naked women and violence, but that's where I focused on. With the obvious, it's like, okay, we're going to take Dora the Explorer, we're going to go for a hard R. We hire Yui Bowl to do that. And so some of my specifics, as I said, ultra-violent this thing's going to be, obviously Yui Bowl. So Dora's more of like this orphan, teenager, hot-looking, scantily clad chick. But a couple things, specifically Boots, her monkey. He's like a robot monkey, you know what I mean? Like he's like a badass.
Whoa.
I know. I'm like, here's Christian's gonna get hard.
Christian's very interested now.
Yeah, but so like he's like that raccoon from the new movie coming out, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like he's a killer robot monkey, you know what I mean? Like seriously fucks people up, and so he kind of protects her because. This is where it's kind of not a nice topic, but Swiper the Fox is like a rapist fox, and so like he appears and like rapes her and then takes off, and it's like they're hunting for this fucking asshole fox thief degenerate, you know what I mean? And it's like she's got her buddy Boots to go across the fucking country and to track down this asshole Swiper the Fox.
Okay, so is Swiper an actual fox here, or is he the fox using air quotes, like just a sly fucking player guy sort of thing?
Yeah, no, he's the guy who's like the head of the underground. Do you know what I mean? They call him the Fox, right?
So he's not a literal fox, is the thing.
No. Okay. And that's just his name. Yeah.
So Dora has been wronged. And I'm using air quotes there, Mr. DiGiovanni, by Swiper the Fox, and essentially she is going to seek revenge on him by traveling to 3 unusual locations that she will repeat unnecessarily about 6 or 7 times before she ventures to that location.
No. We'll drop that. It is an adventure. It is an adventure, but we won't have to point out everything along the way. But it's kind of like it's funny you mentioned Kill Bill earlier because it's kind of like when what's her name is May, her origin story, like her parents are killed by the head of the Yakuza. So like this wasn't done like yesterday, right? Like Swiper the Fox, did this to her back when she was like a young, 12-year-old girl, and now she's like 16, 17, 18, and she's been toughening up,
she acquires or like gets boots along the way, and now after it's been this long journey, now it's time to kick some ass.
I'm not going to lie to you because this is a show that my daughter likes to watch. And again, the making this an R-rated movie is almost just a tiny bit uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
But we're in uncomfortable territory now.
It is
That's the
uncomfortable
point.
territory.
Right?
G-rated material is stuff that your children watch. Like that's you have to get.
No, I just realized what have I done here? Like what
Exactly.
what kind of soup have I put on the friggin' oven to cook for fucking dinner tonight? This is a monster of my own creation, and I can't
Exactly.
really complain about it.
And like the point was, is to me, it's like you can't just make it PG-13. Like Swiper's just some cat burglar. Do you know what I mean? Like this guy has to be someone who's done bad things.
Things.
Yes.
And ultimately, his origin has to tie back to Dora's. Really, to make this a great story, he's the one who created Dora. Do you know what I mean? Like, killed her parents or whatever.
Well, it's interesting. You are, in fact, almost Kill Billing the story of Dora. Like that.
No, that's what I said. I was trying. I can't remember what her name was. Is the Asian who what's her name plays this? It's like that's just like her
Lucy
origin
Liu.
story. Lucy Liu's character, right? Like it's like it happened. Swiper kills her parents and then or like and like rapes her or whatever, and then like, creates her, right? And then, but it's more the detailed story. It's basically it's like as if Lucy Liu character was Dora the Explorer. And this is the untold, her untold details of her growing to power, right?
Oh, that
I gotta tell you, there's characters in that show that their names like Benny the Bull for crying out loud. You know what I mean? King Juan El Bobo. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. The wronging kind of irks me a little bit, but I mean, the idea of making this more of an adult movie intrigues me to the darkest recesses of my podcasting soul.
Great. You're right, because those names sound like thug names, right? Like you can immediately see some guy going Benny. Benny's like a fucking big fat guy that uses brass knucks, and stuff like that.
Yeah, we need some help. Get Betty the Bull and get me King El Bobo for crying out loud. Take help us out.
And it's like she's always on a journey, right? Like she's always on a quest. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. She translates easily. A single episode of her show translates easily into the kind of architecture of a film, right? Like
Totally. Yeah.
And I see the ending of this movie basically with a totally kind of like rock/punk version of we did it, with her slowly walking down the dark, smoky moonlit alley. We did it.
Yeah.
no, and it's like question mark, hooray? Because what was the cost? Boots is dead. You know what I mean? Like
What? Boots is dead?
I don't know. I think Boots dies in the first.
I don't know. It's a robot monkey. Robot monkeys never.
Exactly. He can be rebuilt. I mean, but yeah.
All right. That is a disturbing but very good example
That actually worked. Yeah.
of this topic that interests me and makes me feel all stomach achy for crying out loud.
Stomach achy.
Stomach achy. I picked a movie to make from G-rated to R-rated, and that is the 1992 classic Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. And
That blew up the baby?
no, it's Honey, I Blew Up the Kid for crying out loud.
I thought it was I blew up the baby, I think.
No,
Jesus.
I think it's Blew Up the Kid. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it blew up the kid.
He
Regardless,
is a baby, but I think the title is I Blew Up the Kid.
yeah, because the original movie was called Honey, I Shrunk the Kid.
I got that.
Now the kid is being blown up.
Thank you for that. It's not just a clever title, then.
No, it's not just a clever title at all. And basically, the premise of the original story is this: stupid scientist can't keep his shit together, and his baby gets really fucking large and causes a lot of shit, and then he shrinks him down and says, "Hey, fucking baby, don't do that ever again." But in this version, the thing that struck me first of all was that the premise or the location of the movie, because I don't know if you remember this film, but the Slazinski family has moved from their fucking overgrown fucking backyard to fucking Nevada, and they're living right outside of Las Vegas. And I thought, fucking, if there's any particular area to make an R-rated movie about a baby that's out of fucking control. It's goddamn Las Vegas. And basically, I see this essentially, this baby, as a, well, baby version of Godzilla. You know what I mean? Fucking the baby gets enlarged. Apparently, in the original movie, it's electricity that makes this baby fucking huge. But this baby does not pull any fucking punches. He's walking down fucking Las Vegas, fucking Main Street Boulevard on one of the most popular nights of the year, which I don't know is goddamn what, Las Vegas Mardi Gras or something like that. I don't know.
In Las Vegas, it's every goddamn night.
Well,
New Year's Eve, maybe. I mean, New Year's Eve might be the quintessential, but otherwise, every fucking night, right?
Right. So essentially, I see this baby freaking scientifically not able to comprehend what's happening to him. His own brain reverts to a friggin' a primal state, and he's picking up people and biting heads off, knocking buildings, fucking knocking over casinos and shit, stepping on people, ripping off the top of strip clubs and things like that.
So horror movie, like there's blood and gore in this.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, in the original movie, their main quest was basically, let's keep this baby for quiet for 12 seconds so we can use the shrink ray on him. In this one, while he has basically the dislocated, broken necks of his sister and brother in his front pocket, he's basically fighting his final fight on the edge of Hoover Dam as he gets larger and larger, and essentially is pummeled with missiles by the American military.
So this is a full-on kaiju movie, but the kaiju's a fucking baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's a full monster movie. It just happens to be an irradiated, enlarged child.
A cute little baby in gigantic gosh bagosh freaking overalls.
Jeez. Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Fucking having a tantrum that lasts all night and where thousands of people are fucking mauled.
Yeah. Yeah, that works. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like a tweak of the story. I mean, it's there. They just chose to do it in a fun, safe way. You could make that horrifying, like what actually happened there.
I see that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like it's not a screaming baby is almost a monster anyway, right? Like, so it's not that far to fathom. As you said, Mike, they kind of went to the left, and this is kind of going to the right with that story, right?
It's
like
the same story. It's just like that could be terrifying. That there's a giant, like temper tantrum fucking baby eating, stepping, destroying, like vomiting all over like down the Vegas.
Dropping turds all over the strip. You know what I mean? And like
putting everything in its mouth, like
bad, sloppy, messy diarrhea all over the.
Oh God, yeah, that's
no one could change it. So once that diaper starts getting full, it's just going to start leaking. That's
yeah.
That's right. And it's all corrosive and burns people. And
you know who needs to direct this? Though I'm thinking, I know who I feel.
Yui Bowl.
Yeah,
not Yui Bowl. Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a good call.
This would be a movie that could rejuvenate this guy's career. You know what I mean? Like,
that's right. The giant baby that chews off people's heads, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
He's popping heads all over the place. He's eating them like freaking broccoli. You know what I mean? Anyway, I gotta start writing the script for that right now. Michael D. Giovanni, what is your freaking G to the R?
Well, my G to the R is I'm going to take the G-rated Pixar classic Monsters, Inc., and I'm going to turn that into an R-rated movie. And actually, similarly to what Christian just said, the basic storyline is kind of there with a few tweaks. So in this world, once again, monsters generate their city's power by scaring children. But these are horribly terrifying monsters. Like I am saying, like H.R. Geiger-esque monsters, like the fucking aliens, like terribly disturbing horror.
The monsters from like Cabin in the Woods.
Yes, like exactly. Like we're saying horror icon-y types of monsters. Well, what happens in the story is the parents strike back. In this is that the parents decide to invade the headquarters of Monstropolis and begin almost like a group of Marines, and they go into Monstropolis and take it to destroy the monsters, basically. So you turn this thing into Aliens, almost like James Cameron's Aliens. I mean, you could have this thing directed by the guy that did The Raid. It turns into a bloodbath where it's parents or a group of or humans that are like Marines that go into the Monsteropolis and try to destroy the aliens to save their children.
Okay, and so is Boo, instead of being the victim, she is the savior to some monster? Do you know what I mean? Do you flip that part of the story so that, there's some baby monster that she raises in that, you know what I mean? Is that...
You could do that. I mean, and then that could be your last ending scene for a sequel, right? That the little monster kind of gets up at the end and turns its head at her or something, But it's...
I thought maybe Boo, like, he would be like, who's initially seemed simpatico to the monsters, turns out to be a friggin', like, basically a spy, or the friggin', like, the lookout for the rest of the friggin' troops to get in there, for crying out loud.
Well, you could totally do like a Michelle Rodriguez Boo, right? That's like just a badass who's, was traumatized as a kid and is the biggest monster killer in the army or whatever, right?
Like, I'm thinking, like, if you guys have seen like the or heard about this movie called Hannah, where it's this like young girl?
Fucking great movie.
So
that was my atomic pick like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so like that level, that type of girl could be Boo. Is that she is this, like, she turns out to be almost like the Newt character in Aliens, where she is dragged along, she helps, she actually is the guide to bring the parents or the paramilitary, the parent military, I should say.
Oh shit, that's good. That's good.
The parent military team into it. She's the only one that knows how to maybe get in. She
survived in the monster world, right? She got taken there, and then she survived, and she's on the other side of the, like, Game of Thrones. She's in the north, right? And so
she's like Newt. Newt is the girl from Aliens. Like, she's been there. She knows the ways around it and leads them into it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That sounds good to me. Pause for a second. Do you guys all have one more, or?
I have one more. Yeah.
I have a jokey one.
Okay, I have one more as well. You have a jokey one down? Is it something you want to
it's not flushed out, but it's an idea I had.
Okay. So we'll go to Downs to Dejo, then back. Actually, no, we'll go Downs to me, then to Dejo to finish it off, and then we go.
But I have one. Well, actually, I have one little point of conversation additionally, but I don't know if you want to talk about it next.
Okay.
Can I do it as an in between right now? And then if you don't like it, we can cut it off.
No, go right ahead.
It was funny, like, doing this exercise. The G making into R seems easier, but the whole idea of what you put here, there's a couple movies that stuck out that it looked like a group of Hollywood executives almost did this exercise for two movies, where they were like, how could we make G movies into R? And these things became real. Like, how the hell is Passion of the Christ an R-rated movie? You know what I mean? Like, or Ted, like an R-rated movie. Like, those are, like, someone sat in a boardroom and went, what if we had a movie about a guy that had his little toy that he loved, and then that toy grew up to be like his childhood toy? How could you make that into an R-rated movie? That's Ted. Like,
the elevator pitch for that movie sounds like this is a story of a young boy who grows up with a real-life bear into his adult life. But the one detail is missed is that they're both hard-drinking friggin' drug addicts. You know what I mean?
I think to Dejo's point, they were like, it's not really interesting it just being a teddy bear. You know what would be interesting is if he fucking smoked drugs and was drunk all the time. That would be interesting.
It's right? It's weird. It's like they've done this topic. Like, that's why I think about it. It's like someone saying that let's take the story about Easter for Jesus, and let's make it a balls action gore fest. Like that's what that Passion of the Christ. That's the most successful R-rated film of all time, almost. I believe.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I don't think. To me, that's a totally different thing, and that's like, how do
But
we?
it's not. I mean, that's like it's funny. It still could work. Like that should be a.
Like that is a movie, obviously, without getting into too much details and semantics of the whole movie. Is that this is a movie that is basically trying to send a message to a lot of different people. Basically, creating a product that is an R rating is kind of defeating the purpose of sending a message to a lot of people. I mean, from what I understand about that movie, has some very profound violence.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
but I think their whole point was that they're trying to portray accurately the brutality and what their savior went through, and that it was horrifying and therefore needed an R rating. I don't think it was anything that was like I don't think Mel Gibson was like let's ratchet this up to an R. I think it was like, you know what, it's got to be an R because we got to tell the real story. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the difference of the way they went at it.
Make it more profound to make that message more poignant, I guess.
Yeah, well, exactly. To make you, the person sitting at home on your couch, go, oh my goodness, I need to go to church on Sunday and beg for forgiveness because look at what the horror that's on the screen. They're using a very violent image to elicit a response from you. It's whether it worked or not.
I'll tell you what you'll never find on this friggin' podcast is like poignant friggin' points to send a very important message, for crying out loud. And Mike Downs, on that very same statement, why don't you tell us one of your G to the R movies? I forgot where I was, for crying out loud.
Well, again, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking the whole Max and Ruby thing, and I was like, well, what's some other ones could I do? And I was like, geez, what would it be like if David Cronenberg did a kids?
Wait, are you doing TV shows again?
Well, no, but I was just thinking of like you take something that's simple and make it R, but then I realized David Cronenberg has done a kids show, and it's called In the Night Garden. Have you ever seen this thing? And it doesn't make any sense. People come out and do all these crazy things, and I was like,
is that all the fucking like pillow people dancing around the woods and fucking shit and stuff like that? That
doesn't make any fucking sense. And I was like, actually, there's probably tons of artsy fartsy directors who've made crazy violent shit who make kids like the Yo Gabba Gabba shit that does a lot of kids stuff doesn't have any sense to it. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, well, there's no point of hiring Adam Agoyan or David Cronenberg and all these crazy funky directors because it's going to be lost on adults, I guess.
Are you hoping one day that they make friggin' Teletubbies with friggin' like chainsaws? Is that what you're trying?
Maybe we'll see that. That'd be more of a Quentin Tarantino thing, though. So
actually, Teletubbies with chainsaws is not a bad idea, for crying out loud. And they all have different individual like style chainsaws that do individual kind of maim and harm to various peoples in that goddamn hilly paradise they call, I don't know what the fuck they call it, Teletubby. Anyway, so what's your idea?
That was my idea.
That was.
Oh.
I didn't realize.
What if David Cronenberg did In the Night Garden? But I was like, he already did it. I think he did it, or someone like on his staff. It's totally whack and crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
That's right. So David. So you're hoping that David Cronenberg would maybe like made an episode of In the Night Garden with a bit more blood and gristle in it. Is that what you're trying to say? Is that?
Well, maybe like all the floaty things would like crash into each other or something. I don't know. Or the typewriters start eating themselves. You know what I mean? It's David Cronenberg.
Well, that's what I'm fucking always hoping for, is like freaking floaty things crashing into themselves, for crying out loud.
Apparently some people love that shit, man. The guy makes millions of dollars.
I'm sure there's a whole basically message board based on that, floaty things that crash into people, .com, and people love that shit.
And hey, we're probably getting an iTunes review from them tonight, so.
Right. Those floaty people who like things that crash into, I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. I picked a movie to make it to the G and the R, and that is the 1942 classic Bambi, the movie. And this is my big thinking about this movie, is that instead of setting in a kind of like a forest way back in the day of 1942, I say we frickin' take this premise and take it about 27 years later and have it set in 1969 Vietnam, a la Platoon, for crying out loud. And basically, the story is basically the same as Bambi. There's the same exact story, but Bambi and Thumper and the fucking skunk are caught in the jungles of Vietnam, and that's where they grow up, and that's where they learn to be freaking animals and so on. Bambi's mother was killed in a firefight between the freaking Viet Cong and U.S. soldiers, for crying out loud. That forest fire at the end was started by freaking a napalm attack.
So is this still an animated movie, though, I guess?
I think my thought is that the characters are still animated, but the whole surroundings is still actually like real life. So it's kind of like Roger Rabbit, except it's in the a dark, sweaty Vietnamese jungle.
Yeah.
The basically, one of the themes in the Bambi movie, if you don't remember, is the whole Twitter-pated theme, where basically like, hey, the owls warn him, watch it, you animals, you're gonna fall in love or get Twitter-pated, for crying out loud, which essentially ends up with all these animals getting paired up with their female counterparts. But of course, in this one, you're gonna see real hardcore animal sex on the screen in the Vietnamese jungle, which I think would be definitely make this an R-rated movie. Oh, and Bambi curses like a sailor throughout this entire film.
Well, that goes without saying. Yeah. I was gonna say the hardcore sex should almost be with them with like Vietnamese like at a brothel or something like that, right? Like, shouldn't they meet like?
Oh, so their female animal counterparts should be working a Vietnamese brothel.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like they all in all of the Vietnam War movies, they always hook up with, you know what I mean? Like the
Hey Joe. Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
God. Oh, and there's that brutal. Bambi has to go into that fight at the end of the movie with that friggin' other evil deer, Rono, who's trying to make it play for his friggin' girl, for crying out loud. And I think that fight just gets totally brutal with like switchblades or very sharpened antlers or something like that.
Well, it should just be like an intense fucking like almost like kung fu battle that gets very bloody. Because listen to that name, Rono.
Yeah.
That's like a blood sport name, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, like the end of Rocky 2 or something like that. It gets to a point where they're just that bashed up, for crying out loud.
Yes.
Was that a bit too dark? Was that a bit too R?
No, I mean,
like, you're complaining about me, you know what I mean? But it's like, this is pretty R.
I'm not complaining. I'm just conveying my honest feelings. I'm saying I thought it was a good idea. It's just again.
No, I know, but I'm just like, this is pretty hard too. Like, I don't know why. I don't know.
It's hard not to be sensitive about stuff that your kids watch, right? Like, because we're basically trampling on that stuff and making it very inappropriate.
And I mean, the luxury is my kids have moved on from this shit, like this kind of stuff, right? So they're all on to the. Oh, that was another idea I had, but anyways, go ahead. I was like, how do you make another joke? I was like, how do you make Hannah Montana rated R? I'm like, actually, just bring Miley Cyrus back now and let her twerk all over the fucking place, and there you go. So.
That's right, and change the name from Hannah Montana to Twerkin' USA.
There you go.
There you go. See, this shit writes itself.
That one's actually very simple, yes.
Twerkin' USA. Dejo, you have the luxury of regaling us with our last G to the R of the evening. You better make it fucking good.
Okay, well, I'll give it a shot. The last one that I have here is I'm going to make the Tim Allen classic, the Santa Claus, R-rated. So actually, once again, all the ingredients are here, man. So when a man inadvertently kills Santa on Christmas Eve and rejects replacing him, he finds himself relentlessly recruited by the magical denizens of the North who are seeking revenge and need a replacement. So this thing turns into a full-blown horror movie. So he kills Santa, like somewhat by accident, sees that it's like, because you did this, you need to become the new Santa, and he kind of irks that responsibility. Then the sugar plum fairies, fucking elves. I mean,
So it's gonna.
snowmen's.
It turns like a bit of a Black Snake Moan situation, except with elves and fairies, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but no, but he
Never seen that movie, so you'd have to give me another popular reference. But
question.
Um,
Well, what was the black? He wanted you to explain.
Yeah.
Black Snake.
Well, I mean, Black Snake Moan is basically that freaking movie. Oh my God, Samuel Jackson, who takes a young lady of ill repute and basically chains her up in a cabin until she has learned her ways, so to speak.
Well, yeah, it's something like I'm thinking that he basically tries to sweep it under the rug that he killed Santa, and he's like, wait, okay, and then it's like it starts in small waves where like an elf shows up and goes, you are the new Santa, and then maybe he has a confrontation with it. Maybe he kills that elf while trying to go and get away from me, and then they start sending the fleets. Then it turns into almost a revenge-based story, but they are relentlessly forcing him to become there is a Santa Claus here. If something happens to Santa, you have to replace him. This thing turns into a horror movie. So all of your
you know what they should do? They should take his kids hostage. You know
yes,
what I mean? Like,
that's what I thought. Like it's that
Oh.
if you're not willing, if you took something from us until we get reparations, we're stealing your wife and kids. So it turns into like Mrs. Claus is a bitch. The elves are scary fucking things. Like the reindeers are like terrifying animals, sort of thing.
So the end of this movie, essentially, I guess it does not end the same way as the original movie to a certain degree.
He becomes Santa. I think that has to be it, but he's doing it almost with like out of complete fear and subservient.
They should almost capture him and hold him down and like put him in like like the Cybermen thing from Doctor Who. You know what I mean? Like he's transformed against his will into Santa Claus. You know what I mean?
Yes. That's a
also, the end, he actually accepts his role and does not seek revenge.
Or he's forced, like he is to
He's forced, and then he comes out and he's like, ho, 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 in the end, and you're like, oh, shit, he's been converted. And then that sets you up for a sequel, you know what I mean? Like,
or some kind of ending where basically he has turned the tables against his evil captors, and he's now in the power position, and that will only be freaking explained in the next movie of the Santa Claus.
Yeah, I think he needs to. I like the idea. He needs to become Santa Claus at some point, though, right? Like, I think he has to.
I mean, if you involve the family, I think the sequel sets up to be how do we get him out of being Santa Claus? Yeah, rescue him from being the Santa Claus, right? And it's like, oh my God, he's been taken over or captured or something, right? And it's like his wife, and she doesn't even believe in it. It's now it's like, Mom, look, like, you know what I mean? Like, this shit writes itself, man.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, there we went to some pretty interesting places this episode as far as our friggin' movie creations are concerned. I mean, is this a topic that we could return to at any time soon? I don't know. Maybe once the nightmares go away, we could possibly do that, for crying out loud. But on that note, before we get to the ending schlemazel of this episode, why don't we get to our Michael Downs?
Okay, my atomic pick is for a TV show. As everyone knows, I love my TV. This is a show. It's actually still running. It's called The 100. This is a show. I think it's on NBC. It's a regular network old television show, surprisingly enough. And it's about this. It's a futuristic show about after a nuclear war has happened and destroyed the Earth, and there's a bunch of people. The last human survivors are living on this space station out. Orbiting Earth, and the space station is dying, and they have to send people back to Earth to see if it's going to be habitable. And so they send 100 criminals, basically just like Australia. Actually, AJ Maggot should probably watch this show. They send a bunch of 100 adolescent criminals down to the planet, not expecting they're ever going to live, and obviously they do. There's 100 of them, and it's actually pretty neat. I was thinking about my atomic pick, and I was like, boy, there's not really a formula, although
when I said that, there really is. It's like, what's the conflict this week? But I'm pretty into it. I heard a couple people mention it to me, so I started watching it, and I was kind of obsessed with it. I watched a few nights late, 3 and 4 episodes, quite late until 2, 3 in the morning. So I was pretty into it. This show has just been renewed. We know it's coming back for a second season, so maybe you want to check out the 100.
Let me just jump in with my atomic pick, which is, I mean, totally honest, not really much of an atomic pick because I haven't really had much of a chance to try anything out new lately. But at my local Costco, I was able to pick up 2 collections of the animated series Darkwing Duck for under $20 for crying out. That's like about 57 episodes of this friggin' show that I only have a mild memory of. But I thought, I have kids. There's a little girl in this show too, so both my kids might enjoy this. And I've watched like the first 5 episodes, and the theme song is incredibly catchy. And my boy has already drawn parallels between Darkwing Duck and Batman, so I'm incredibly excited about where this could go. But I mean, as far as freaking more kid-based freaking superhero cartoon villain fare, I mean, you can't get much better than freaking Darkwing Duck. So roll over to your local Costco, because they always got kind of freaking cheap deals on their freaking DVD series and stuff like that. So Darkwing Duck, I enjoy it. Michael DiGiovanni.
2 atomic picks for me. First is a comic book. I got the second library edition. That's one of those big omnibus hardcovers of the series Fear Agent. I think I did the first volume of this in a previous atomic pick. This is by probably one of my new favorite writers, Rick Remender. I've mentioned him a couple times, and a variety of artists. This is about a intergalactic space exterminator, and imagine like a drunk Han Solo. That's pretty much what this is.
You mean like Mike Downs? Kind
of like Mike Downs in space, pretty much. But this is the storyline is just, this thing is so incredible. Like it's about a 35 issue in total storyline, and how much this thing is interconnected, how much the story builds and escalates and pays off at the end. It's just an awesome story. I highly recommend it. The art is fantastic. This is from Dark Horse Comics. You can buy all this stuff in individual trades. I really like the big, the hardcovers. So I mean, they look really pretty, and they're big. It really shows off the artwork. So I would say check out Dark Horse Comics Fear Agent. And my other one is for a TV show, and this is a new one. I think we're only like 3 episodes in, and it's from Showtime. And it's called Penny Dreadful. I don't know if anyone has seen this yet. This is the new TV series from writer John Logan. He's written the last couple James Bond movies. And this thing is pretty much a Victorian True Blood. It's like it's almost somewhat like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where it's incorporating a lot of Dracula, it's Victor Frankenstein, Dorian Gray, Jack the Ripper. Everyone is in the same universe here, and it's set in a weird gothic Victorian stagecoach, everyone wearing fucking top hats. It is, the production design, the budget on this thing is crazy. It stars Josh Hartnett as an American gunman. There's Eva Green, who's she's hot, and she's quickly becoming one of the most coolest eccentric actresses. And Timothy Dalton, Timothy Dalton's become super interesting as he's gotten older. Like, the stuff that he's doing as he's gotten older is really cool. This show is kinky. This show is fucking weird. It's like I said, it's macabre. I know I don't use that word a lot. But it's one of those, like, you got those candelabras, and it's dark, and there's horse-drawn carriages, and a lot of dysentery, and like, it doesn't look like any other show on television. It's one of those times you're watching it sometimes going, do I like this? And then they do a cliffhanger, and you're like, I have to watch the next one. If you like anything that I just described, monsters, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, old school stuff like that, but all merged and kind of mashed up, you might want to check out Penny Dreadful.
Macabre candelabras with a little bit of dysentery, for crying out loud. Whoa,
That
whoa,
sounds
whoa.
like a whole lot of fucking entertainment right there.
Yeah. That's like that friggin' ABC Friday Night Family Fun of Television right there, for crying out loud.
TGIF Fridays.
Hey, dysentery. I don't know if you know this, but we endeavor to do this show on a weekly basis, and have done a pretty damn good job of it. And if I'm not mistaken, we're probably going to do another fucking show next week. And if someone who's doing that show could tell me what they're planning to do, I would really love to hear about it.
Well, next week, the Atomic Geeks are going to be living under the sea.
Under the sea, under the sea, under the sea.
You totally
under the
killed
sea.
my song moment. So I'm going to keep going on that. Under the sea,
Under the
under the sea.
Music is laughing. I don't know all the words. This is
Blah, 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 blah.
Under the sea, under.
Take it from me. Eat the calamari.
Sebastian, that was a fucking funny character, man.
Sebastian, yeah, let me tell you, that's my daughter's favorite princess, for crying out loud. Is like goddamn
Ariel.
Ginger Princess Ariel, for crying out loud.
Ginger princess.
So there you go. That is episode 257, slated, burned into the big book of podcasting, which is how we archive this show. I don't know if you know that. It's a giant book filled with pages that they are burned into the actual book. I want to thank the fellas for joining me on this unusual exercise of movie transformations. If you like what we do and we want to hear from you, I beg you for iTunes reviews, and we never get them, but there are many other places where I can beg for positive feedback from you jerks. There's the Twitter, there's the Facebook, there's, what else is there? There's the Instagram.
There's Tumblr.
Tumblr, Jesus Christ. I mean, please, we are very needy individuals who need your support to keep this podcast feel going. Find a way to tell us, hey, I like what you do. Please keep doing it. And don't say it as slowly as I just said, for crying out loud. The Atomic Geeks Podcast, episode 257. Thanks for listening. Go make yourself a sandwich.
There you go.
There you go.
I could totally eat a sandwich.
I could go for a sandwich.
I could eat a sandwich.
Good work, fellas. As per usual. And
All right.
All right, guys.
Good night.